I wanted to cover the more neocon style right and how they're clashing, but at the same time complementing the more, manosphere, toxic masculinity right wing. So it's interesting to see them fight. And, I honestly say, when it comes to it, let them fight. Let them fight.
Of younger listeners who are big fans of Andrew Tate, who really enjoy Andrew Tate. Now, the big for the course of the last couple of weeks is that Andrew Tate, for those who don't know, Andrew Tate is a very online guy who was a lightweight kickboxing champion, I believe, and he's become big in the so-called manosphere. He was banned from YouTube, I believe. He was banned from Twitter, and he was...
Yeah, free markets. These conservatives constantly complain, censorship, and they always champion free markets. Well, guess what happens if you're bad for business, man? You're on to the alt-tech platform.
Banned from these things because he was a self-described misogynist, right? Somebody who believes that men are superior to women in pretty much every... Over the last couple of weeks, he got in an online fight with Greta Thunberg, in which he was tweeting at her about how he had Bugattis and lots of gas guzzlers, and he was heating up the climate. And then she tweeted back at him that he had a small dick. It was all very silly. And then one day later, he ended up being arrested by Romanian authorities. And the allegations against Andrew Tate is that he was engaging in sex trafficking. According to the New York Post, police in tactical gear descended on a villa where Andrew Tate and brother Tristan were staying Thursday to detain the British brothers on kidnapping and rape charges, judicial sources told Romanian outlet
I think he's guilty.
Video shows the officers with battering rams and guns sweeping through the dark villa before escorting Tate into a car. The brothers in April had allegedly detained 2 young women, one with American citizenship and one Romanian, inside the villa against their will, where they were subjected to physical violence and mental coercion, according to the authorities. Police said the Tates allegedly formed an organized crime group and sexually exploited women by forcing them to perform pornographic demonstrations for the purpose of producing and disseminating through social media platforms. The brothers had been questioned for 5 hours by the police back in April, but were released at the time. And then they are currently still being held in Romania right now. Now, Tate had predicted for a long time this would happen to him. He had predicted that people were going to come after him, that they were going to arrest him. Does that mean that he's not guilty of something? I have no idea. I have no idea whether he's guilty of these crimes. It could be trumped up. It could be the Romanian authorities who are embarrassed by Tate. It could be anything. I don't place a lot of stake in the law-abiding nature of the Romanian authorities. I literally know nothing about how the law... Andrew Tate literally said he moved to Romania in order to avoid law enforcement. So...
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's true or whether that's not. I assume all of that will come out in the wash. The thing I want to focus on is the popularity of Andrew Tate for a moment.
Let's hear it, Benny boy.
And it's fascinating because, again...
Let's hear the neocon, Orthodox Jew take on, this apparently Muslim, but at the same time really decadent, pimp, trafficker guy, constantly sleeps around, but the right still likes for some reason. Like,
so he likes Tate? He likes him?
He likes him in some ways and dislikes him in others. Oh. He wants him to stop having sex outside of the bounds of, marriage.
And I have a lot of young listeners.
He also hates the fact that he's a Muslim, which, predictable.
Who are interested in the stuff that Andrew Tate says. The reason they're interested in the stuff that Andrew Tate says is because he's transgressive. He's transgressive in that he says things that no one else will say. Some of the stuff that he says is, frankly, terrible, and some of the stuff that he says is not terrible. Some of the stuff that he says is actually a version of truth. When he says that promiscuity is...
Well, yeah, it's a version of truth, but I'd prefer if that truth was Jewish and not Muslim,
generally a bad thing. He says it only among women. He says when he says promiscuity for women is a bad thing. That used to be a relatively uncontroversial thought, but it's been considered bad to say that now. It's wrong, it's banned.
No, well, you guys are losing the culture war. Like, okay, women sleeping around is popular because at the end of the day, when people consider it, they don't want you to obsess over what they're doing in the comfort and privacy of their own homes amongst consenting adults. And if people are just, having fun, what's the societal harm? You have no empirical evidence or any, moral justification at all for this. So...
Now, we live in a moment because we are...
he sleeps in a separate room, right? He don't sleep with his wife.
Really?
Yeah, he said it by accident.
Oh my god.
He tweeted one time, I forget the tweet. Look it up, you see it. He tweeted something about visiting his wife's bedroom. His wife has her own bedroom.
The next level purity. God. Puritanicalism, I think is the word. But
sort of in the political world, we're so censorious. The Overton window has shrunk so much that there are two concepts.
Wait, complaining about people being censorious, but at the same time saying,
well, it used to be standard to say promiscuity was bad for women until the radical wokesters took over.
Okay, bitch, you literally snap if you see a rainbow flag in some sort of, children's storybook. So talk about censorship, man. He freaked out, I think about the Buzz Lightyear movie because, you know, a woman and a woman kissed for like a few seconds.
That have been crimped. One is truth, as in like Pope Benedict XVI's truth. Right? Things, eternal things of value that you're not supposed to say anymore.
I thought you were an Orthodox Jew, and you thought Christianity was a false religion.
Man is not a woman. Men should marry women. They should have kids. Right? These are things that are now considered very controversial in the elite circle.
Yeah, and I guess if men are just infertile in some way or another, they just live as, you know, pathetic husks who aren't worthy of existence or life. God, this guy is so transparently a fascist.
Of the West. You're not supposed to say any of those things. So truth,
The West.
like capital T, long-standing truths, these things have been denied.
Is Israel the West? Because, you know, the West used to mean, obviously it just means white people among these people, but, you know, it used to mean Europe.
He's a racist.
And then-
I don't think that's black people. Sometimes, you know, when he talks, you can see the way he talks, he has an issue with black people. At the same time, his friend, Candace Owens, doesn't like Jewish people. So they have an issue there. They got to solve it, man.
Yeah.
Are, man.
Yeah, he's cultivated this anti-Semitic audience by being so frickin' far right.
There's also been stuff that's been
He's making a lot
denied.
of
That's
money,
just
man.
Yeah.
If he's an African guy, $100 million, how much he's making?
Yeah.
garbage. Like stuff that's not
he's a
nasty.
partner in the company. He owns half the company.
Yeah, that's why. So obviously, why he moved to what? Texas or Florida? Dave Rubin moved to Florida probably because of the income tax, the state income tax rate. You know.
His company's in Tennessee, but he's not gonna stay there. You know they don't like Jews over there. So he went to he lives in Florida, but his company, the Daily Wire,
Yeah.
is in Tennessee. The whole issue is that he's not true to himself, and in his pursuit of making more money, he's willing to entertain, right wing. What's that? Somebody like? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men can't be women, and likewise with women.
Yeah. So in order to continue that grift to make all these $100 million a year, whatever, $200 million a year, he has to continue to inspire a certain segment of our population that doesn't like him for what he is, and he keeps on pushing it. Oh, Judeo-Christian, what do you call tradition? They don't like you, man. I spoke.
What does Judeo-Christian mean? Either
made
you
up,
believe Christ is the Messiah, or you don't. That's it.
Yeah.
Easy to say or yucky. And so what's been crimped is courage, right? People are afraid to say the truth, and they're also afraid to say their opinion because they lack courage, because the social sanctions are so strong. And so because the social sanctions are so strong, and because they go beyond just crimping the truth, they go to crimping pretty much everybody's feeling that they can even say anything, their opinion, jokes. Because of all of that, courage is now held in higher value than truth itself.
Yeah.
Being willing to transgress the line.
Wait, courage is held higher than truth itself. Yeah, that's what the right's been doing ever since its existence. Like, you care more about machismo and aesthetics than you do actual, like, virtue. Like helping people out, getting in this together.
Is considered a highest value, because in a time where courage is under attack, courage is a very, very high value. Courage is always the first value. I mean, C.S. Lewis says, courage is the first value. Courage is the first value in order to speak the truth. But courage
Courage is the first value.
Yeah, apparently you don't have enough courage to not speak like a freaking snot-nosed weasel every time you get on camera. Yeah.
is instrumental. Courage is useful so that you can speak the truth. What's happened in our society, because we have decided to shut down so many modes of speech, because we've decided to ban people from social media and unperson them and destroy.
Yeah, and stuff like critical race theory and queer representation and gender-affirming care. Yeah, the right is really
their lives and
censorious.
their livelihoods. Because we've done all of that, people who speak loudly are considered the best and the bravest. And it's particularly appealing to young people. And so when you draw a lot of fire, the way they a lot of people see that as more courageous than if you say something that is, say, a little bit better calibrated.
I kind of agree with Ben Shapiro in this sense, but sorry, it's a fatal flaw with the right because they care less about the aesthetic of who is saying something instead of what they're actually saying. You catch my drift? Because because conservatism is obviously contradictory in and of itself, as we point out on this show all the time.
Yeah.
But Andrew, people just like him because he's this embodiment of machismo and I don't give a and just unapologetic racketeering, I guess. Oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I think it's all a con. Even Tate. I saw this small clip of him and Vice TV. After the camera went off, he just started talking normal. All the yelling and screaming over right at the window. It's all about the Benjamins, like that lady said. It's all about the money. Everybody's about the money. We are in the wrong business, me and you, free. We gotta start, making stop and talk, catch them gay people, and start attacking them.
Whoa, CRT, fucking groomer or something. Even though, grooming in this sense means just letting kids know that queer people exist and it's okay to be gay. Like grooming back in my day, and I know I really can't say my day because I'm 19 and a half, and I don't know, but when people used to say grooming, they meant developing a romantic relationship with someone who was under the age of consent only so you could then immediately get them to have sex with you once they turned the age of consent. But now the right got a hold of it, and they've absolutely disgraced the original meaning, and now it just means showing a child a rainbow flag. And that's it,
And more in consonance with eternal truth. Whoever draws most fire, in other words, is the person who's considered the most courageous.
Because they know it's money.
Sort of pithy saying that is...
That was him in 2016. Everybody was fascinated with his, debate bro rhetoric and,
in the name boys, and, the blacks don't care about your feelings.
And, that was you at one point, but... I guess he's realized he's lost that energy.
Mostly true, but kind of not, right? That you must be
because the internet's, kept on clowning on him,
flag.
And he doesn't really do the podium debate things anymore.
A large percentage of the time, that's true. But sometimes the person who's drawing the most flags because what they're saying is actually kind of bad. Right? So the problem for Andrew Tate, and the reason why he's become so popular, is because he's very transgressive. He says the thing that no one else will say. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's really not good. We'll get to more on all of this in just one moment. First, the situation in Ukraine continues to be extremely bad. That National Fellowship of Christians and Jews has supplied blankets, food, and shapiro. I've said this to some teenage boys who are friends of the family. They asked me about him a week ago. What I said is some of the diagnoses that Andrew Tate has of secular society are correct. His prescriptions are largely incorrect. And the things that he puts, he has a list of rules, and many of the rules that he puts online are actually pretty good. And then the way that he acts, right, his version of masculinity, which is have a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women, live in a castle with 30 Bugattis, right, put pictures online and muscle, this kind of stuff, that's not the traditional mark of masculinity. What Pope Benedict XVI would say, what I would say, what sort of members of the traditional wisdom cadre would say, is that...
Wait, why would you take advice from the Catholics? Don't you see Christianity as a perversion of what the Messiah was originally supposed to be, as told by the Jewish Orthodoxy? Why are you so contradictory, Ben?
Ultimate in manliness is get married, protect your family, provide for your kids and your family, provide a space for them to grow in safety and security, provide them roles and responsibilities. This is the role of a man. This is what a man does.
I like how it's specifically that and literally nothing else in the Old Testament, boiling goats in their mother's milk, or not wearing mixed fabrics, or planting two seeds of a different plant in the same hole, or eating bread with yeast on certain days. Absolutely none of that. If you go through the Old Testament law as laid out by Moses once they left Egypt, it's absolutely impossible to follow, and you'll be saying what the does this really apply anymore? And apparently it does to Ben, but he conveniently ignores that because he's actually, in reality, cherry picking what he wants just to suit his own narrative. He's already arrived at a conclusion, and he's using this to justify his beliefs while omitting literally every other tedious rule. Let's continue.
What Andrew Tate focuses mainly on is the critique of how society has undermined a lot of this stuff, and then his prescription is, I'm gonna put a picture of myself online with 30 cars, and it makes me look cool, it makes me look masculine. I also like cool cars. Cool cars are amazing. But because we have lost eternal truth, because we have decided as a society that eternal truth has to go, the backlash is not coming in the form of a restoration of eternal truth. Very often the backlash is coming in the form of punch the people in the face who destroyed the eternal truth. That's the society in which we're living in.
Eternal truth.
And I'm afraid that could get worse unless
bullshit.
What we actually have is a return to some eternal truth. So here's a couple of clips of Andrew Tate, and it kind of shows you what I'm talking about, that some of what he's saying...
Actually, he's Muslim. I mean, and most of these, fundamentalists, doesn't, some forms of Islam preach, polygamy and, a guy can marry multiple wives? I mean, that's somewhat close to, his religious values. Yeah. But apparently, Ben conveniently discards Islam as, eternal truth. Because,
Judeo-Christian.
Judeo-Christian, again, an absolutely made-up word.
Made-up word,
is kind of half correct, but he's saying it in such a way that is meant to draw fire. So here is Andrew Tate talking about women belonging to men.
I don't know, because I think the women belong to the man. I think the woman's given
that's inherently where you get called sexist.
No, it's not. Well, you can call me sexist if you want, but if you look at marriage, it's the
It's odd because at the same time he denies he's sexist when accused of sexism by other people, but to be edgy, he also calls himself a misogynist. Like, which one is it? It's as if he knows being sexist is bad, but to be edgy and to deliberately be a terrible person, he calls himself sexist. Like, which one is it? Get a narrative straight. Are you embracing it or are you denying it? Like, that's what I covered in my video on this
father
guy.
who gives her away. It's not the groom's father. The woman is always given over to the man. Read the Bible, read the Quran, you can go to
walking down the aisle, no chance. There's like African cultures where they don't do that.
I'm sure there are some obscure tribes somewhere. I mean, I can't say, I'm not a professional.
But you get it. You seem like a very smart guy. You seem like a smart guy. You're saying a woman is the property of a man if they're dating.
I'm not saying they're a property. I'm saying they're given to the man and they belong to the man. It doesn't mean they're a pure property without emotion.
Okay, so
you certainly don't care about the emotions of women if you're trafficking them. I can tell you that much.
Notice the contrast here. So Portnoy is so afraid of saying that a woman and a man belong together, and that a woman, when she gets married, now belongs to the man sexually in the same way the man ought
No, I don't think he thinks that, Ben.
to belong to the woman sexually. This is literally
He's trying to get to say he believes that, but he's backing off of it when he's in the limelight, when he's in the spotlight, and he's getting interrogated.
Genesis 2:24. Right, for this reason, a man will leave his father and his mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. And Genesis 2.
As if you follow Old Testament law. Get the hell out of here, you inconsistent, lying piece of omitting piece of mother shit yarmulke wearing, shove it up your get the out of you want to quote Old Testament law on me? Oh, you and I can have a field day with that, my man. Let's go.
24. So that would be the eternal truth. That is the truth according to every mainstream religion. That would be the thing that you would say. And the reason for that, from an evolutionary biology perspective, is because when a woman joins with a man and they create a baby, the woman is sure of her parentage, but the man is not sure of his parentage. And so we as a society tend to prefer monogamy, right? This is the evolutionary biological reason why humanity embraced...
No, okay. Again, like, I don't have anything against religious people who prefer to be monogamous. I mean, you're adults. You get to define how your relationship goes, but... the reality is, and this has been confirmed by, sexologists, evolutionary biologists, anthropologists, we're naturally not non-monogamous. Because, okay, what are we viscerally programmed as males to do? Just go around raping people. I mean, that's it. Now, obviously, that's not the ideal society, but it's what we're hardwired to do, okay? So, like, this idea of monogamy, it's a construct, okay? I'm sorry to say it, but it's a construct. And naturally, we aren't that way. I can give you sources on this if you want, if any right-winger in chat wants.
Monogamy is because it is the best distribution of sexual resources. It is from an evolutionary biological...
Distribution of sexual resources? Are you, like, algorithmically systematizing who and who doesn't? What the hell is this, like, military greeting brown What the hell is that? Like, okay, I'm gonna try to go back. What the hell is that?
I don't know what he's saying, man. What are you gonna
The woman is sure of her parentage, but the man is not sure of his parentage, and so we as a society tend to prefer monogamy, right? This is the evolutionary biological reason why humanity embraced monogamy, is because it is the best distribution of sexual resources. It's from an evolutionary biological perspective, not a moral perspective. That's just evolutionary biology. Brett Weinstein, Heather Heyer talk about it. Heather Hein talk about it. All of this is very well established.
Okay, that's
when it comes to morality is that a woman should not be promiscuous, and a man should also not be promiscuous. Now, this is the part where Andrew Tate gets the diagnosis right, but he gets the solution.
Okay, morality based on, like, your religious text. When, okay, there are thousands of other religions in the world that disagree with that, which is why, the Pascal's wager argument is insane. Okay, well, if God is gonna, put me, through hell if I don't embrace religion, I don't know, what religion is actually true. So,
wrong. So here's Andrew Tate talking about how women should not be promiscuous. It's bad for them.
Well, a woman could say that same thing if she.
But he can sleep with as many women as he wants. So
she could say, I can sleep with multiple men, but my men can't sleep with multiple women if she so chooses. We're all free individuals, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't agree if a woman said that.
I don't think I would personally find that revolting, correct? But there are women who find what I say
I find anything you say revolting, and I find you existing revolting. So please get off the internet.
revolting.
So you're not telling other people what to think. You're just saying
It's
how
probably
you
a
think.
fad.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
I think if a man is is not sexually exclusive, it's not the same as if a woman is, because with a woman you have the paternity issue. With a man you don't have a paternity issue. Look,
What? With the woman, you have the paternity issue. Okay, so why not just use birth control? As a matter of fact, okay, that's another contradiction in his ideology. So if you think, right, that women have this parental issue when it comes to sleeping around, and they have a higher propensity to carry the child when they have casual sex. So why not incentivize birth control and condoms and abortion pills and Plan B and stuff like that? Oh wait, you're not for that because you exclusively want women to be broodmares for the state. You want, remember another George Carlin routine, classic this one.
Yeah.
They want live babies so they can be dead soldiers.
the Bible, every single man had multiple wives. Not a single woman had multiple husbands. It's against the will of God. It's disgusting. In the eyes of God himself.
Oh yeah, because you follow Islam really well.
Yeah,
With your
you know,
drinking
you
and
know
you're
that.
smoking and you're sleeping around outside of marriage.
He did that just to get a new crowd. That's all he needed. You understand?
Yeah, and which is ironic because sometimes I pay attention to these Muslims like Hakikachu and Ali Dawa, and there's another one, and for some reason they like come to bat for Andrew. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, historically speaking, what Andrew Tate is saying is not wrong. Morally, the reason why church, right, we talked about the capacity for change within eternal rules, moves towards monogamy as opposed to polygyny, right, where a man has multiple wives. The reason for that is because the sophisticated arrangement of one man and one woman is the best arrangement. And so,
Why? Based on your 1,000-year-old Dead Sea Scrolls? Why?
it is not good when a woman is promiscuous. It also happens not to be good when a man is promiscuous. Those may not be.
Yeah, so is wearing mixed fabrics. That's not good according to Jewish tradition, but you still do it anyway.
Equivalent in evolutionary biological terms, but that is why eternal morality suggests one man, one woman. So the point that I'm making here.
Yeah, eternal morality also forbids you from, cutting the sides of your hair, trimming the edges of your beard, wearing mixed fabrics. So, cherry picking. You're full of and
is
you
that
know
when
it.
the moorings of the society come loose, when the society starts
Fucking
sort of floating, the iceberg is floating, it's no longer moored to anything, the
shit,
state.
bitch.
Once that happens, the reactions tend to be extremely chaotic. You get an entire movement on the left that is incredibly destructive, and you get a reactive movement that gets a lot of the diagnosis right, but a lot of the diagnosis wrong, right? Gets a lot of diagnosis.
Wait, destructive? Destructive? In the Old Testament, God commanded Moses' army to slaughter not only the Midianites and the Canaanites, but to burn their villages down and take the unmarried women, right?
I just take the version.
And for them, a woman was 12 and over as brides, non-consensually as sex slaves. You really like that morality, Ben? You think that's eternal truth? You're insane, man.
The Old Testament is the most violent book I ever read. I read it, It says the first thing that kill all the children, the women, the children, even the donkeys. It's like, God damn, even the donkey gotta go. So,
And he thinks destruction by the left is bad. You're the most destructive ideology ever, especially now, considering what you're doing to the Palestinians to, resurrect this idea of the old nation of Israel under David. Yeah, that's really destructive. So why don't you own it? You were destructive when you were constantly blogging in favor of the Iraq war, Ben.
Yeah.
Talk about destructive. Shut the hell up, man.
It's writing a lot of prescription wrong, right? We have many problems in our society. Those problems continue into the realm of male and female. It encourages bad behavior by women. But then the answer to that is not bad behavior by men. The answer to that is better behavior by women and better behavior by men. So if we're going to have a rest...
Don't sleep around. Only have sex to produce soldiers that the ruling class can use to invade third world countries.
You need to have an actual restoration. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it because...
Yeah. Restore you not being on the internet. Restore you just, in your yarmulke, just playing whatever, the soundtrack to Schindler's List. I don't know what you were playing. Anyway,